Aisha was an innocent and defenceless 8-year-old child caught up in a bizarre set of circumstances and manipulated by two adults who were intent on causing her harm.
My guess is she's a witch now. Got spells, so watch what you say. My guess is she's a witch now. Oh no, don't you get in the way.
This will be one of the most bizarre and twisted child murder stories you have ever heard. How is a lesbian neighbor who lives in a fantasy world able to break up a marriage and brainwash the mom into believing her 8-year-old daughter is a witch who needs to be destroyed? The answer to that question is almost unbelievable. And the only way to find out is to join me right here in the Murder She Shed, the place we discuss rarely told true crime right here from my little she shed. My name is Holly. Just make sure you help this nerdy girl out by pushing the like button and also that subscribe button down there. The only way to begin this story is to begin with Mom Paulie CHOWDHURY. Paulie was born in 1979 in Hampstead, which is a beautiful neighborhood in London, England. Paulie was brought up by strict Indian Muslim parents. Paulie claimed because of her childhood, she strongly believed in angels, ghosts, possession by spirits, and black magic. As a teen, she became pregnant out of wedlock, which brought great shame upon her Muslim parents. Her pregnancy was terminated, and as a result, she endured a tremendous amount of trauma and conflict within the family home. Soon after this, Paulie was subject to an arranged marriage, which actually turned out to be really abusive. Her new husband would beat and demean her. She was very unhappy in her new marriage. Because of her past, Paulie was vulnerable, had low self-esteem, was depressed, and felt there was no way out of her horrific life until she met Afsar Ali. In 1996, at the age of 17, Paulie met Afsar when she was working as a legal secretary. They married in 2001 and had 3 children. Then, in 2007, the happy family moved to a new home in Chadwell Heath, which is a neighborhood in East London. Everything was going great for the family until one day, not long after moving into their new home, an unexpected knock was heard at the door. Paulie opened the door to find a plain-looking woman with dark hair and glasses who introduced herself as the couple's new neighbor, KIKI MUDDAR. KIKI told Paulie that she had cancer and that she might need her help in the future. Paulie, if nothing else, she had a kind heart. She liked to help other people that were in need. So this really got to Paulie, knowing somebody that might need some help. And so she volunteered to help her. KIKI also told Paulie that she had a boyfriend named Dave who was killed in the London riots. After introductions, Paulie and KIKI soon became friends. Because KIKI had narcissistic personality disorder, she loved to control others. And because Paulie was a vulnerable individual with no self-esteem, it became a toxic friendship quickly. KIKI had no friends, so she became completely obsessed over Paulie. When Afsar and Paulie would make a decision together, Paulie wouldn't tell Afsar her final decision until she talked it over with KIKI first. KIKI had Paulie convinced that she knew everything. That's one thing that irritates me. People that think they know everything. They got opinion about everything and they know about every subject in the whole world. I can get along with most people, but know-it-alls I cannot get along with. So this is where me and Paulie differ, because I don't think I'd be attracted to KIKI at all. But Paulie was. She liked the fact that KIKI thought she knew everything. KIKI actually said she was an engineer in the Olympics, but she was a volunteer ambulance worker. Paulie and KIKI had even talked Afsar into helping pay for KIKI's expensive chemo medications. KIKI also convinced Paulie that she had healing powers in her hands And when Paulie would touch her body where it hurt, Kiki's pain would ease. And so this led to a lot of Paulie touching Kiki, especially in the areas in places that hurt Kiki, she said, which could be like private areas. I don't know how she fell for this, but she did. Although Kiki had no children, she also knew everything about raising children and would tell the couple how to raise their own children. Aisha Allie was just 2 years old when Kiki became friends with her mother. Aisha was a bright, intelligent, and also a happy little girl until Kiki came into her life. Aisha loved reading, and one of her wishes was to become an English teacher. She was also passionate about world poverty and the suffering of young children around the world. She wanted to become an aid worker and go around the world and just support the needy children. She was a little girl with a big heart. Kiki was very jealous of everyone that Paulie loved, and especially jealous of Aisha. Kiki was a huge horror movie fan. Kiki got Paulie interested in horror movies too, and then Kiki came up with this idea of wearing a scary mask, sneaking into Aisha's bedroom and scaring her. Their friends would take turns wearing this scary mask and going into Aisha's bedroom until she was screaming and crying. They enjoyed doing this and believed it was funny. Friends also became obsessed with vampires and would start biting Aisha's little body. Afsar asked his wife to quit hanging out with Kiki because he felt something wasn't right. But while he was working, Kiki would come anyway, and she would spend the day with Paulie while he was out or working, and both of them ignored his wishes. This became such a problem for the couple's marriage that Afsar decided that he needed to take his family and move to a different home altogether and not tell Kiki where they were going. So in 2011, he did just that. He packed his family up and he just left. After the move, Paulie spent a lot of time making friends online. She worked online as a solicitor, so while she was online, she was making friends, communicating with people on Facebook and everywhere else. And she met this man named Jimmy online. The relationship grew thick quickly. Jimmy started asking her favorite positions, asked her to send explicit images of herself, and Jimmy soon became Paulie's cyber soulmate. But he always gave excuses why they couldn't meet in real life. Paulie was also still secretly communicating with Kiki, and she began coming to the family's new home after Afsar went to work. Kiki began trying to convince Paulie that Afsar was being unfaithful to her, so talking to Jimmy online was perfectly fine. One day while Afsar was home, Kiki showed up and told him that she was going to move into their home because her cancer was becoming too painful for her to live alone. Not long after moving in, she kicked Afsar out of his wife's bed and said that she was so sick that she needed to be sleeping with Paulie. This left Afsar sleeping on the couch. First of all, he must be a better man than I am, because if a woman come into my house and said, "I'm so sick, I gotta sleep with your husband," well, honey, that's not gonna happen. You can be dying the next day. You're not crawling your butt in a bed with my husband. You're gonna be out of my house, and don't let the door hit you in the butt because you're out so fast. You're out quick as you came in. I wouldn't put up with that. So, yeah, I don't know what he's thinking. Needless to say, their marriage did not last. They split up and he moved out long after that. Paulie believed she was in love with Jimmy anyway, so I guess it didn't matter. Jimmy asked Paulie to start having sex with Kiki. Jimmy and Kiki were able to convince Paulie into believing that Jimmy lived within Kiki's body. Paulie had a deep belief in spirits, the afterlife, and ghosts, so she believed that, that was in fact true. Paulie was a straight woman and found it difficult to have sex with Kiki, but because she believed and imagined in her mind that Kiki was indeed Jimmy, she continued the relationship. Paulie likened sex with Kiki to a scene from the classic Hollywood romance Ghost. Paulie thought that Kiki was the conduit for her mystery soulmate Jimmy. Paulie also met online a spirit guide named Skyman. This spiritual guide was able to convince Paulie that her now 8-year-old daughter Aisha was an evil witch. Skyman said Aisha had bad blood and needed to be disciplined in order to get the evil spirits out of her body. Kiki said Aisha's evil spirits were making her cancer so much worse. One text from Skyman read, "You have no right to ever love or like your evil daughter." Eventually, Paulie and her children moved back to East London to live with Kiki in her flat. Skyman told Paulie she should punish Aisha with a wooden spoon, so Kiki and Paulie both smacked Aisha repeatedly with the wooden spoon. Kiki took on the role of disciplinarian. Kiki would repeatedly tell Aisha she was evil, possessed, and needed to be disciplined. Paulie gradually became convinced Aisha needed to be punished to stop the gates of hell from opening. They thought she was so evil. They started beating Aisha and not allowing her to eat or either force-feeding her things she hated until she was sick. They forced her into cold baths and would bite her. They would make Aisha scrub the bathroom floor to rid herself of evil spirits. During the summer of 2013, the mental and physical torture worsened. With Aisha at home all the time during the school vacation, she had no protection or respite from what Kiki was doing to her. Right before Aisha's death, Kiki once again pulled out the Halloween mask. One night, Kiki dressed up in a Halloween costume and woke Aisha up to scare her. Aisha shouted for her mother, but her mother denied that Kiki or the monster was standing there. She said, "I don't even know what you see. I don't see anything." She's trying to convince Aisha that monsters and ghosts were real so they can further scare her. Just so disturbing that two grown women would do this. It's sickening. They began making Aisha jot down a naughty list, pinning everything she had supposedly done wrong, like making faces or pulling faces, telling lies, making a fuss, ignoring someone, not listening, being rude, not putting her shoes into the right place, and so much more. She was made to write a good list and a bad list. Aisha began thinking that she truly was naughty and that she deserved these beatings. She even wrote a letter before her death. The letter reads, "I'm not just letting myself down, but I am letting my family and Kiki down as well. It's the weekend today, and most of my friends are probably having a laugh, watching telly, whereas I am just sitting here making notes. I have learned while I am sitting here that I have to change. I will change, no matter what. If I be rude, then nobody will like me. Being thought bad, naughty, and mean, it's getting to be very upsetting. I don't like hurting other people's feelings. I don't know how I make myself do these things. I hate getting punishment, so I'm going to make sure I change." Scribbled out text at the bottom reads, "Mommy loves me, but she doesn't like me." The last note little Aisha wrote said, "I tried to be good. I tried to be good." How awful. Not long before Aisha's death, Kiki made a phone call to her cousin in which she threatened to kill Aisha.
"I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. I'm going to kill her. Seriously, you will never see me again. I'm going to kill her. I swear to God, I'm going to kill her. I will drown her in bath.
I've never heard you say
I will drown that witch."
A few days before her death, a neighbor heard Aisha scream, Mom, I don't want to be bad." On August 28, 2013, Aisha wetted herself, and that seemed to be the last straw for Kiki. She took her in the bathroom, forced her into a cold bath, berated her, and beat her repeatedly with the shower head. She poured all of her rage and jealousy into Aisha that night. Paulie walked into the bathroom and even found Kiki with her foot on Aisha's chest, but she just pushed her off and went back to job hunting on her computer in the living room. The next words Paulie heard was Kiki yelling, "I think she has drowned." When Paulie went into the bathroom, she saw blood in the water coming out of a wound on Aisha's head. After this, Kiki left the house in order to purchase a new shower head to cover up the damage of the old shower head from that assault. On the morning of August 29, 2013, Kiki had returned back to the house in order to replace the old shower head bit. Instead, she dialed 999 to report Paulie had tried to kill herself, and she had found her in the bathtub where she had tried to slit her wrist and kill herself. And then Aisha was found in the bedroom dead. So I guess she decided she should definitely call 999 at that point. Paramedics discovered Aisha cold and stiff in her bedroom, dressed only in her underwear, laying beside her bed. Paulie had left a series of notes appearing to admit to the killing. I have taken my life and Aisha's life. Kiki claimed to be at her parents' house on that night that Aisha died. When paramedics spoke to Kiki at the scene, she told them Aisha is always naughty. She was a naughty child and Mom thought she was possessed by the devil. The ME gave the cause of death as damage to the head from a blow or blows. But her body was also covered in about 50 injuries, including a black eye, injuries to her hips and back, and a bite on her back, which was a match to her mother. She also had carpet burns on her little body. She had only weighed 49 pounds or 3.5 stones when she died. Kiki was initially treated as a significant witness, but once police began to analyze the phone and computer accounts of all involved, it became clear that she had played a full and active part in the abuse of Aisha. The pair's bizarre relationship revolved around a sadomasochistic fantasy world, built up over 3 years involving fictional boyfriends, angels, and spirits. Basically, Kiki had tricked Paulie into believing that Jimmy was real, Skyman was real, but Kiki was actually playing these characters. Not only that, she didn't really have cancer. She didn't really have a boyfriend that died. She lied about everything. Kiki's cast of self-serving alter egos helped her become intimate with Paulie. But in her eyes, Aisha was getting in the way. By the time of the little girl's death, Paulie was communicating by text and Facebook with a total of 15 different people and spirits, all of which had been dreamed up by Kiki. When detectives uncovered more than 17,000 pages of Facebook messages sent by Jimmy, the character was so convincing that police actually launched an international search to look for this mystery man. After several months, officers discovered Jimmy's profile picture was a man from India, but he had no connection to these women at all. Only then was it established that Kiki had been sending the messages herself, and this linked her back to being responsible for Aisha's abuse. Kiki was originally sentenced to 18 years for the murder of Aisha, but was reduced in 2015 to only 15 years in prison. Paulie was charged with manslaughter, and her sentence was also reduced from 13 years to now only serving 10 years, which means she could be released from prison in 2025. Aisha Ali, may you rest in peace. You finally have some peace. And what's strange is before Paulie met Kiki, she was actually a good mother. If they'd never met Kiki, little Aisha most likely would have still been alive. It's just heartbreaking. All right, guys, before I go, I want to wish y'all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I may not post again until 2025, so I guess I'll see y'all next year. You can hear the four-wheeler. I think you can probably hear that. Oh, the four-wheeler's out. You're not going to get to tell him bye because Daddy got the four-wheeler out. Well, I can let you see him, maybe.
Jack-o'-lanterns up year round. She gets in